So, the rumours were actually true. Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway for the BMF belt has been announced today to headline UFC 326 next year. So, I decided to play cooked fantasy matchmaker today and make a BMF belt for every single division. Now, Dana can have illegitimate main events on as many cards as he wants and can continue to rob us of actual title fights that we deserve. No, I don't actually mind the BMF belt as long as it leads to us getting sick fights booked like this Charles versus Max fight. So my idea of what a BMF actually is, it's someone who's not the champ, so we're not going to include any champs in this video at all. These guys have to also fulfill one or more of these criteria. They have an entertaining and reckless fighting style. They stand and bang, which that's their preference. They step in on short notice. They fight anyone. They don't give a fuck. Loss or win, they gain respect, and they're basically just a badass who can actually headline big cards without a real belt being on the line, and I'm still okay with it. So in this video, I'm going to do one BMF fight per division, but we're going to stick with inside the top 10 of each division only. So mad dogs like Mateusz Rombetsky and Oralby and Charles Johnson won't be in the vid, sadly. All right, let's punch on. All right, let's start with the flyweight division, 125 pounds. This fight, we've actually already seen it. We saw it this year, and boy, did it deliver as though it was the little man BMF. Of course, I'm talking about Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval. Now, this one was sick, and it might not age all that well because tomorrow we might have Joshua Van as the champ, so it could completely cook this video. But as we stand right now, it is the day before UFC 323, and Pantoja is still the champ, but not for long. So Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval. It was an insane stand-up war, extremely high output, ultimate respect earned by both these guys. A fucking awesome fight, and it might end up being fight of the year for 2025. It probably had my vote. Royval, this guy's fought everyone in the division. Joshua Van, Tatsuro Taira, Brandon Moreno twice, Pantoja twice, Kai Kara France, Tim Elliott. He's fought 5 guys in the top 10, and he's fighting another one next weekend in Manel Cap, and all of them are killers. So Royval, he's a true representation of BMF mentality, doesn't give a fuck. And Joshua Van, this guy, he's been active as hell. He's about to fight his 10th fight since debuting in June 2023. That's elite activity. He steps in there against guys on short notice and he boxes the bleeding ears off them. Who would win this fight? We've seen this fight already. Joshua Van won, but it was a really, really close fight. I reckon if they fought again, it would probably go the same. I'd be picking Joshua Van by decision, maybe KO. He dropped Royval at the end of that fight. On to Bantamweight, 135 pounds. This one was pretty tough to pick, to be honest, and I've ended up going with Petr Yan versus Marlon Chito Vera. Let's start with Petr Yan. He's had 19 fights in 7 years. He stands and bangs. He does damage. He's a mean, nasty little fucker. I wouldn't want to fight him. He's always cranky at the press conferences. He's Russian. That gives him badass bonus points. He just doesn't give a fuck, this guy. He looks like a cranky little gremlin. He illegally knees cunts in the head and just does not give a single shit. You know it's on site with Petr Yan and basically anyone that he's fighting. I reckon he'd run into blokes randomly in the shops and just start punching them. He's fought legends like Marab, Figgy, Song Yadong, O'Malley, Sandhagen, Aldo, Faber, and he's just got a sick boxing style, zero wrestling. He barely wrestles at all. He's a mad dog, Petr Yan. He definitely deserves to be in there. And then Chito, Marlon Vera. This guy, underrated BMF, bro. He's had 25 fights in the UFC, which is absolutely insane, and he's pretty much been there or thereabouts in the top 10 for ever since I can remember, bro. He gets robbed all the time and doesn't kick up a stink. He's fought all the killers in the division as well. He's fought Zahabi, Figgy, O'Malley, Munoz, Sandhagen, Cruz, Font, Edgar, Aldo, Song Yadong. The list just goes on and on. And I was actually pretty surprised to see that Marlon Vera and Petr Yan haven't actually fought each other yet. Chito, he's fought basically 3 times a year for the past decade, and he's still going with no sign of stopping whatsoever. This guy, he's a family man. He's respectful. He doesn't wrestle at all. He's got an insane chin. Put some respect on Chito Vera, boys. If these guys actually fought, I'd probably pick Petr Yan pretty easily, just in their current state and skill levels. I think Petr Yan does more damage. Chito's very hittable, and he just kind of lets fights passing by. But, Petr Yan, he has to download the data too, so it might be a pretty close fight. I'd probably pick Petr Yan to outbox him and outpoint him over 3 rounds. Over 5, probably definitely go with Yan. Let's keep going to featherweight. My honourable mentions here go to Steve the Mean Machine Garcia and Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett, as much as he's past his prime and on the decline, he's fought a lot of good guys and he's got a sick style as well. It was pretty tough actually to pick the contenders in this division. I ended up going with another fight that we've already seen, and it was a decent fight, but it didn't quite live up to expectations. It was Diego Lopez and Dan Ige. Let's start with Diego. He's about to have his 9th fight in just over 3 years, so the activity level's there. All of his fights are sick. I'm incredibly hyped for Diego Lopez fights. He just marauds forward, touching his neck like a psycho, eating bombs and just not giving a single fuck. Look at his haircut. That tells you everything you need to know about this bloke. And his tattoos, dream, believe, and make it happen. That is a tattoo of a man who does not give a single fuck. He throws spinning shit. He throws nasty elbows. Some of the most vicious ground and pound you've ever seen. He looks like a complete poof, but he goes hard, Diego Lopez. He's definitely up there in the BMF contention at featherweight. Dan 50K Ige, we all know why I chose this guy. He stepped in on 4 hours' notice to fight Diego Lopez at UFC 303. That's a BMF move right there. It just happened to be in the area and the Ortega fight fell out and he just calls Dana White and goes, bro, I'm nearby. Give me the fight. I'll weigh in right now, and comes in 4 hours notice and puts on a good performance against Lopez. That's legendary stuff. I think it was the shortest notice fight of all time in the UFC. And Ige, he's a dog, man. He gets beat up. He stands and bangs. He knocks guys out. He's got insane power. He's fought 20 times in 7 years, so he's super active as well. He's taken on all comers. He's been a reliable gatekeeper at featherweight, which you get bonus points for, being a gatekeeper and taking on all the up-and-coming guys. He's fought Barboza, Calvin Kattar, Korean Zombie, Josh Emmett, Movsar Evloev, Nate the Train, Ras Mitchell, Diego Lopez, Lerone Murphy, Pitbull, and he even tried, his best to defend the earth against the alien invasion of Sean Woodson that night. So ultimate respect to Dan Ige. He's the king of the gatekeeper BMFs. And look, we have seen this fight already as far as who would win it. It was pretty clear for Lopez in round 1 and 2, but I reckon Dan Ige was actually starting to take over that fight. And if I remember correctly, I thought Ige won round 3 or definitely had some moments in round 3. So a 5-rounder between these two guys would be pretty interesting for the BMF belt. I'd probably still pick Lopez. I reckon he's still leveling up, and DG is just calling him DG now. He's kind of on the decline. I reckon that would be a sick 5-rounder though, and you never know. But yeah, I'd go with Diego Lopez there. All right, on to lightweight, 155. Not much to say here. This one has already just been booked. It's just been officially confirmed. Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway. It's the best BMF fight at lightweight. Both deserved. It's the BMF, the current BMF champ versus the people's BMF champ. Holloway versus Oliveira. Couple of honourable mentions at lightweight though. Maybe if I didn't pick Holloway and Oliveira, I would have gone with maybe Dan Hooker versus Renato Moicano. I don't know about Arman Sarukian. There's something shady going on with that guy. He's not really BMF mentality, not active enough. But anyway, Max versus Charles. That's a sick fight. That's a UFC fan's wet dream, that one. Both guys have just garnered so much respect and so many fans over the course of their legendary long careers. Both of these guys are guaranteed Hall of Famers. Charles Oliveira, this guy's had like 3 different careers in the UFC, I swear. He's had 36 fights in the UFC over 15 years. He's got the records for the most submission wins, the most finishes, and the most bonuses in the UFC. That is absolutely massive and legendary. He's had fights with pretty much all of the best guys to ever do it at lightweight, apart from maybe Conor and Khabib. He's fought Holloway, Topuria, Chandler, Islam, Arman, Dariush, Gaethje, Poirier, T. Ferg, Jared Gordon, Jim Miller, Clay Guida, Paul Felder. The list just goes on and on and on. And it's, you can't argue this is a worthy BMF title shot. Probably one of the most deserving ever. Max Holloway, look, ditto, same goes. This guy's a UFC legend, fan favourite, 31 fights in 13 odd years of fighting. Got a sick boxing style, extremely high output. He's an absolute hype beast. Got a legendary chin that was never cracked until recently when Topuria took his soul. One of the sickest UFC knockouts and moments of all time over Justin Gaethje. That adds a lot of bonus points to that UFC 300 moment. He's had fights with DP, Korean Zombie, Arnold Allen, 3 fights with Volk that he was in all 3 of. Yair, Cater, Edgar, Ortega, Aldo twice, Pettis, Jeremy Stevens, Cub Swanson, Conor McGregor. It just goes on and on and on. It's good as Oliveira's resume as well. So both of these guys, former champs. There's no way you can justify any other BMF fight at lightweight right now. This is the one that we all wanted, and I'm stoked that we're getting it. Hype as fuck for this fight. I just hope they stack the card underneath it with a bunch of BMF fights as well. I reckon they should just do all the fights that I tell you in this video on that card, and we just call it a day. I might make a video about that card soon anyway and try and make a sick BMF card. As far as who wins this fight, look, I've been going back and forth on this one since I've kind of been thinking about it. Before the Gamrot fight, I probably would have said that Max absolutely starches Charles, but then Charles looked really good against Gamrot, and I do think he's still elite in the wrestling and the grappling, and I think he's obviously a better grappler than Max, but Max is obviously so much better on the feet. I don't really know how Max goes against a genuine jiu-jitsu threat. Like, I think Max obviously pieces him up, but Charles can submit absolutely anyone. So it's really tough to pick that one. I might even end up coin flipping that. No, probably not. But I'm currently leaning towards Charles Oliveira. I think if he gets Max down, he can finish him, but who knows? Let's talk about welterweight, 170 pounds. Look, I'm going to give an honourable mention to Ian Machado Gary. Realistically, this guy ticks a lot of boxes to be a BMF. He's got a stand-up style. He fights on short notice. He's really active. He calls his shots. But fuck that. This guy's a vegan and a cuck. So he's immediately disqualified. He's not getting the shot. Kamaru Usman also, he's a gritty old former champ, but he's too inactive and he's a fucking Maltese ahead. So we're going to pass him up as well. We're going to go with the fight that we all want to see, and that is Michael Morales versus Carlos Prates. Let's start with Morales. He's undefeated, got a nasty style, 5 KOs out of 7 UFC performances, finishing unks left and right. Magny, Burns, Brady, all of those were sick knockout performances. So I don't know. He's probably not the most deserving, and I'm still a bit sus on the way that Morales dresses. Very, very zesty. But look, I rate Michael Morales. Plus, this guy's Spider-Man at night. He's fighting crime. That's badass. Carlos Prates, what's to say about this absolute mad dog? He smokes ciggies. That makes him really cool. 7 fights in like 2 years, one of the coolest styles ever in the UFC. He's got a laser right hand, throws spinning elbows, gets mad highlight reel KOs. He slept Leon Edwards. That gives him a few bonus points. He's a nasty, nasty fighter. He goes hard as fuck. He calls guys out, but he's still chill on the mic. He's a fighting nerd. They're all the rage. Yeah, I reckon Prates is a future BMF for sure, and he's a cult favourite. He's building up a huge following. I actually really want to see this fight, hey, and I reckon the winner of this should get a title fight. They might end up making this. I reckon Dana should do it. Who wins it? Fucking no idea, to be honest. Prates can sleep absolutely anyone, even guys with solid defense and chins like Leon. So I don't think this fight would last long at all. I just have a feeling that Prates is a little bit frail and a bit vulnerable to grappling and control. Not that Morales is really a grappler, but he's just a big, solid, well-rounded guy. So I might end up picking Morales by ground-based submission, but if they were just forced to stand and bang like a BMF title fight should, I'd probably favour Prates. So who knows? That's a good fight, though, and that's why I want to see it. Let's go to middleweight, 185 pounds. I had a bit of a hard time picking this one as well. There's not really any standout guys for me at middleweight. Lots of solid lads, but nothing really immediately grabbed my attention and jumped out off the page at me. Look, DDP, he's an honourable mention. This guy's fought killers and he's got a sick, goofy, entertaining style. I just don't think he's done enough work yet, and the Hums Up performance just dropped his stock a fair bit and left him a bit dead in the water. So, Mavov, Strickland, Brendan Allen, Look, Gastelum, I'd probably end up choosing Kelvin Gastelum. KG, but I said top 10 only, so he's no longer even ranked at the moment, I think. So can't go Gastelum. I end up going a little bit further down the rankings to like 9 and 10 and dug up the bones of these 2 ancient unks. We've got Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier. Another fight we have actually seen before, but not for a long time. Whittaker's up there, bro. He's fought killers non-stop. He's a former champ. He's had 24 fights in the UFC over about 13 years. He always gets matched up with the best upcoming guys at middleweight. He's like the litmus test of whether or not these guys deserve to fight for the belt. If you beat Whittaker, you're probably going to be the champ. He's fought RDR, Hamzat, Aliskerov, Paulo Costa, DDP, Vittori, Izzy twice, Gastelum, Cannonier, Till, Brunson, Yoel Romero twice, and those were absolute BMF fights, those. Jacare Souza, Uriah Hall, Brad Tavares, Wonderboy, and many, many more. That is a legendary, goated BMF resume right there for Bobby Nux. Jared Cannonier, look, not the most exciting guy in the world, even though he looks like he should be, but he's pretty sick, and he's always taken hard fights. The UFC fucking hates this guy. He's come up short for the belt, but he's always in the mix there at middleweight. He's kind of gatekeeping a bit like Dan Ige as well. He's fought, MVP, Robocop, Caio Borralho, Imavov, Vittori, Strickland, Adesanya, Brunson, Gastelum, Whittaker, Hermanson, Anderson Silva. Plus, he had the previous life at light heavyweight where he fought Dominic Reyes, Jan Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira, Kutalaba, and he was at heavyweight before that. So that's a fucking BMF resume if I've ever seen one as well. So just Whittaker and Cannonier, based off resume alone, these two were the guys I ended up going with. These guys have both gone through an absolute murderer's row. Mixed Molly Whopper, he fucking loves these guys. Now, who wins? Look, at this stage of their careers, both guys are kind of washed, but I reckon Jared's a bit more washed. Bobby Knuckles, he might end up being a bit too fast and dynamic for him, I reckon. But then again, Whittaker's chin is a bit suspect these days. Look, I'd probably end up picking Bobby Nux by TKO or decision, but it would be a sick fight. I'd watch it. Maybe this could be both of these blokes' retirement fight. Let's go into 205, light heavyweight. Another tough one here. Look, Pereira is obviously the BMF at light heavyweight, but he's got the belt at the moment. Big Ang's a pussy. I thought about Khalil, but while his fights are really sick, he's kind of a pussy IRL as well, and he fucking cries a lot. Volkan Oezdemir, he's got to be in the mix, but we're going to go with the fight us fans have wanted to see for years. The ultimate Unk BMF of light heavyweight, the legendary Polish power merchant Jan Blachowicz versus the fucking BMF of the universe, Jiří Procházka. Jiří, what is there to say about this fucking maniac? My favourite fighter of all time. He is the baddest motherfucker and the goodest motherfucker at the same time. This guy's like a fucking vicious dog, like a pit bull or something, but then comes around to eat his little treats out of your hand afterwards and lets you boop his snoot. Jiří is the ultimate cooked, untamable beast, ancient samurai, ninja, warlord who uses ancient voodoo magic to telepathically break his opponents and then delivers swift justice in the form of a spinning back elbow that deletes your soul. The most entertaining fighting style of all time. He's active. Every single one of his fights is a spiritual experience. I will never, ever tire of watching this man fight. He could fight Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas at the same time on the early prelims of an Apex card, and I would still buy the fucking pay-per-view 10 times over. The BMF of my heart, Jiří is the GOAT. Don't even need to tell you his resume. Put it this way, he's been knocked out by the champ clearly twice, and the whole fan base still wants to see the trilogy. Hell, give these guys a deculogy. 10 fights. Inject Jiří versus Poatan into my veins 3 times a year. No complaints here whatsoever. And Jan Blachowicz, another legend, taken on all up-and-comers at light heavyweight. He's got massive power. Sick highlight reels. He's fought 21 guys in the UFC, 22 this weekend. He's fighting an up-and-coming killer in Bogdan Guskov. Who else? He's fought Ulberg, Pereira, Ankalaev, Rakic, Teixeira. He took Izzy's O, Dominic Reyes, Jacare Souza, Luke Rockhold, Santos, Krylov, Cannonier, Gustafsson, and many more. So Jan Blachowicz, he's a legend of the game, a former defending champ. Respect to the legendary Polish Giga Chad. This fight, it would be fucking sick. We've all wanted to see this for ages. I'd probably end up going with Jiří, to be honest. I can't really pick against this guy against anyone except for Poatan. Look, I think Blachowicz would probably do pretty well early on, being a bit more technical and maybe tapping the leg of Jiří a bit like Khalil did. But we know it only takes Jiří to flip the switch and enter predator mode, and he gets you out of there. So I'd be going with Jiří by TKO for sure. And finally, heavyweight, 265 plus. Honourable mentions go to Alexander Volkov, Sergey Pavlovich, and honestly, Marcin Tybura. He's taken on plenty of up-and-comers as well. But I'm going to go with a fight that's been already booked for UFC 324, and one of the fights on that card that I am the most fucking hyped for. Two guys who live rent-free inside the heart of Punch-On's MMA, Derek the Black Beast Lewis versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Salsa boy. Let's start with D-Lou, the BMF of funny fights. The blackest motherfucker. D-Lou is going down in history as one of the pound-for-pound most entertaining fighters of all time. Most knockouts in UFC history at 16 and most finishes in heavyweight history. 30 fights in the UFC over 11 years. That is insane longevity and activity at heavyweight. Every up-and-coming heavyweight has gone through the Derek Lewis test. Taliesin Teixeira, Jailton Almeida, Sergey Spivak, Pavlovich, Tuivasa, Chris Daukaus, the GOAT, Cyril Gane, Curtis Blades, Junior Dos Santos, DC, Volkov, Ngannou, Tybura, Mark Hunt, Big Country, Gonzaga. Holy shit, this guy basically is the heavyweight division. He's carrying this whole thing, D-Lou. He's got to be the OG BMF of the UFC, I reckon. But the new era heavyweight BMF has got to go to Salsa Boy, Waldo Cortez Acosta. What can I say about this fucking pirate legend? 11 fights in the UFC in 3 years. That's sick activity as well. He jumps in on fuck all notice and sleeps guys, gets poked in the eye, comes back and knocks out Ante Delija in one of the coolest moments in UFC history. Takes on everyone. Look, he started off a little bit sus and boring, but he's absolutely reinvented himself in 2025. If he beats Derek Lewis, he's borderline the BMF of the UFC, let alone heavyweight. I love me some Waldo Cortez Acosta. This guy is the people's champ at heavyweight. Basically put Tom Aspinall's career in the bin without even fighting him, just like John Jones and Dana White both did as well. The holy trinity of fucking fucking Tom Aspinall. Nah, but look, I can't wait for this fight. I hope it stays together. It's going to be over quickly, just like all of these guys' fights. I'm leaning Waldo by TKO at the moment, just based off momentum, and he's a pretty nasty counterpuncher too. So if Derek kind of goes in there and tries to, knock his block off, I could see him getting counterpunched and sat on his ass. Oh yeah, and the chicks divisions, I reckon it's Lupi Godinez versus Julia Pilastri. Don't at me. So that's it, boys. One BMF fight per division. Stick them all on one card and it would be the greatest night of violence in UFC history. Let me know which divisions you agree with and what your BMF picks are and if I've fucked any up. Tell me a few of them that might be outside the rankings as well. I'm hype as fuck for Max versus Charles. I'll probably end up doing a stack the fuck out of that BMF card, fantasy card builder video at some point. But yeah, looking forward to that fight. Punch-ons forever. You.